Hi friends, this is Tammy and welcome back to Faith Family Fashion. I made this great Kentucky butter cake for my family and they loved it. It is so easy and I bet you have all the ingredients at your house. So let me show you how I made it. Let's start with the ingredients. You're going to need flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, butter, sugar, milk with a little vinegar in it, 4 eggs, and vanilla. Okay, here we're going to get a separate bowl and we're going to put in just the dry ingredients. So we're going to put in 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt, and we're going to whisk this together. Now on to the mixing. So here I have my KitchenAid and I'm going to take 2 sticks of butter, which equals 1 cup, and 2 cups of sugar, and I'm going to mix that until it is light and fluffy, about 5 minutes. My butter was still a little hard here. It wasn't completely room temperature, which is better. So I'm cutting it up into chunks, and then I'm going to add the sugar, and then we're going to beat it until it is light and fluffy. And here I am adding in the 2 cups of sugar. Okay, now it is nice and fluffy. I'm going to just take it down, scrape the sides real good, and then we'll get ready to start adding the other ingredients. Okay, right here we're going to add our eggs in one at a time. I know I should probably crack the eggs in a separate bowl, but I've always done it this way. So we're going to add each egg in one at a time, a total of 4 eggs, and make sure they get really good and incorporated. And now we're going to add in our vanilla. It's supposed to be 2 teaspoonfuls, and I never really measure on vanilla because I like it. Now we are in the home stretch. Now we are going to alternate adding in our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients. So I'm going to just put in a few big spoonfuls of the flour and baking powder soda mixture, and then what I did, I took the 1 cup of milk and I added 1 tablespoon white vinegar to it, stirred it around, and I am alternating the milk and vinegar mixture with the flour mixture. I was always told that you start with flour and you end with flour. I don't know if that's true, but that's just how I did it. So I'm alternating that, and we're going to get that all mixed up, and then we are done with this part. Okay, we are ready to put our batter into our cake pan. Here is the batter. This turned out beautiful, guys. Take a look at how silky, if I can find the camera, how silky this batter looks. Look at that. Isn't that pretty, y'all? And here is my Bundt pan. I over greased it. I always have a fear of the Bundt cake sticking in the pan, so make sure you grease it really well. And I'm just going to pour the batter in the Bundt pan here and get it all even and smooth it out and into a 350-degree oven. It is going to cook anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour depending on your oven. I have a gas oven. Mine was done in 45 minutes. Just you guys know it's ready whenever you stick a toothpick or skewer into it, and it comes out clean. And it looks absolutely beautiful when it comes out of the oven. Okay, I'm just going to clean up my KitchenAid here just a little bit. My kids bought me this as a gift, and it is one of my absolute favorite things. And especially since we have been home on this quarantine and shelter in place, it has been getting some use. Have you guys been baking and cooking more than usual since we're all home and can't go anywhere? Okay, now we're going to make the butter glaze. This Bundt cake has a butter glaze. So the butter glaze consists of 1 cup of sugar, half a cup of butter, 3 tablespoons of brandy or water, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So on a really low heat, you do not want to bring this to a boil. You just want everything to melt. You're going to put your butter and your sugar together, and you're going to put your 3 tablespoons of brandy or water. This time I'm using water. I didn't have any brandy, and with the shelter in place, I really didn't want to get out just to go get some. It is really good either way. If you don't want to use it, don't have the brandy. If you want to use something else, feel free. I just did the water this time. I did find some brandy after the fact, and we just did a little sprinkle on the very top, but definitely not something you have to use if you don't want to. Tell me she ain't gorgeous. Look at this cake. Look how pretty this cake is. Okay, what I am doing here is I took a skewer and I am poking holes. This is straight out of the oven. So I'm going to poke holes all over it. I'm not going all the way through down to the bottom. Okay, so just poke holes randomly all over the place with a skewer, with the meat thermometer, with the something. Just poke some holes in it and just make sure you get a whole bunch in there, because what you're going to do is you're going to take that glaze and you're going to pour it on top, and you're going to let all that good butter glaze soak on down into this cake. Okay, now we're going to take that glaze and we're going to pour it all over our cake that we poked these holes in. All over, and we're going to let it soak down in this cake. So after you get it poured on, you're going to smooth it around and you're going to let this cake sit in this pan for 30 minutes at least. Now, if I have one piece of advice for you, it's going to be to make this glaze maybe about 10 minutes before it's time for your cake to come out of the oven. I made mine probably about 30 minutes before it came out of the oven, and it sat on top of the stove. It stayed warm because the stove was on, but the glaze did thicken up a little bit. So I think it would... if you do it about 10 minutes before, it's not going to be quite this thick, and it's going to soak down into your cake just a little bit faster. Either way, it was still delicious, y'all, but that's just my little advice there. And fresh out of the oven, ready to eat, here is my Kentucky butter cake. I dusted it with a little powdered sugar. This was delicious. My family loved it. I hope you enjoy this recipe as much as we did.
Hope you enjoyed today's video. It's me, Nicholas, and subscribe and ring that bell. Also comment if you want to.
Remember to stop and thank God for today because it truly is a gift. I'll see you guys really soon.